Arno, workflows. Everyone's talking about workflows nowadays. There's a massive new update from OpenAI talking about automating workflows. And for people
Yeah.
who don't understand what that really means, talk to me about like what is a workflow? How do companies operate today versus what you're bringing to the table?
Yeah. So basically, a workflow or an automation workflow, if you may, is like the word says, it's a way to automate certain tasks in your business or life that you don't want to do manually. Like say you're using HubSpot and Salesforce, and then you have like contacts in one, and then you want to sync them with the other. So like without a workflow, you'd have to do this manually, basically. Like you'd have to have somebody like every day, like go and like manually copy and paste every contact, which is really tedious. And so a workflow is like an automated way using code to basically just do this automatically. So there's all kinds of workflows. There's like I said, there's CRM workflows. There's social media workflows where you want to post content every day, like based on some topic. Uh, there's like customer support chatbots. You know that you could consider that a workflow too. Like instead of having an individual like reply, you just have like a bot. You know, reply to customers' requests. So yeah, so like basically, it's just a way to automate things with code, with scripts. And the reason it's so fashionable now is because now we have AI, and it just makes workflows that much more powerful because you can use AI. Like you wouldn't be able to respond to a customer query before without AI, or it would just be really bad. But now you can do that with AI. Um, you can like summarize emails with AI. You can do all kinds of AI processing tasks. You can create AI agents. So, like, if people don't know, an agent is basically an AI that has tools that can actually do things. So that's becoming really fashionable, and all of these fit into like the workflow kind of paradigm. So what's not a workflow is like a one-off task, like you just do one thing, like scraping a website, and that's it. So like, I mean, you could do that as a workflow, but like that's not really the strength of a workflow. The strength of a workflow is something that's repeated on a schedule, and that's predictable. Like you know, it's always going to execute the same way. Um, so yeah, and that's why I'm building Autoflows. It's an automation workflow platform. It's just a really convenient way to create automation workflows for your life. It uses basically AI to write the code that you need to run the workflow. So there's no technical requirement on the part of the user. They don't need to know how to code. They don't have to build anything. It's like a chatbot, and they just give their use case, and then the AI agent kind of takes care of everything and writes their workflow, tests it, and deploys it. Um, so yeah, I think that's the future now. It's just going to be like AI generated code that runs all your tasks for you, pretty much.
So Arno, you mentioned something very interesting is that if you have a one-off task, then a workflow might not be ideal for that situation. So I guess the question to you is when when should clients or customers be looking at automating their workflow or creating a certain AI workflow? Is it always any repetitive task? Is it certain task in certain fields? How do you determine if this is a good use for whatever task they have at hand?
Um, the basic criteria is if it's something that's very tedious, like that takes a lot of time, and that involves very little creativity. The example I mentioned, like copying pasting contacts. There's really no like creativity or human intuition required there. It's just like a very mechanical thing to do. And if it's something that you have to do repetitively, like hours and hours a day, every day, that's like a prime candidate for something that could be automated. Uh, there's just like it's just it's it's very time consuming, so it's worth the investment in building a dedicated workflow. And also because it's not very complex and there's not much human creativity required or judgment, then that's also very easy for an AI or a computer script to execute. So definitely, if you have those kinds of situations, you should look at automation workflows. If it's just like a one-off task that maybe takes an hour, it's probably not. I mean, it's not worth it to spend several hours setting up a workflow, or if for like a 1 hour task, right? That you're just going to do once. So in that case, you might as well just do it yourself. Or if it's something that requires a lot of human judgment, like I guess you're a lawyer, you're reviewing a contract, and you can't really rely on AI, maybe because of industry regulations. So that's something that you might want to do manually. Although in many of those cases, you can kind of create like a hybrid workflow where you have all the simple tedious parts done by the AI, and then you have a human in the loop part, which is basically the AI stopping and then sending the task to human to review themselves. And so that's something you're seeing more and more now, like these hybrid human in the loop approval flows, where you get the AI to do the non-creative part, and then the AI stops and then sends the parts that require more human intuition to a human to approve. So yeah, that's another case of where you might want to use a workflow. So my approach was to apply that to automation. So I'm basically building a vibe coding app for automation. So just like you have these websites where you can build like your own website using AI agents. So I'm building the same thing, but to build automation workflows. And so, yeah, basically the AI just writes your workflow code. It tests it, tests all your integrations. So by integration, I mean, in your workflow, you might want to connect to like your Slack or your Gmail. So it'll get all that info from you. It'll get you to authenticate your services, and then it'll test them. It'll send like test requests, and it'll check if the response is correct. And then it'll run the code. I'll run like with test examples, make sure everything's fine. And then when it's all working, then I'll finally publish the code, so it runs autonomously on its own. So yeah, this is like a very hands-off approach. So it just makes it easier for non-technical people, like busy business owners, small and mid-sized business owners who just don't have the time to, well, for one, they don't know how to code, so they can't code. And also there's a lot of what's called no-code automation platforms, which have been around for 10 years. So these are platforms like Zapier, make.com, which allow users to like kind of build their workflows using like a drag and drop interface. So you don't need to know how to code, but it's still kind of a hassle. Like there's still some technical mindset required. You have to have like a builder's mindset where, you have to understand things like APIs and JSONs and, how to debug things. And a lot of people from my experience, from people I've interviewed, like they have a different mindset, that they don't want to really build anything. They just want something that works. And there's really not that many options available right now for like kind of like a fully automated system that just builds everything for you. And so the only option that a lot of people have is to hire a consultant, like an actual developer, build their workflow for them. But that has its downsides. It's expensive for one. Like a simple workflow could cost hundreds of dollars. Like a typical like complex workflow can cost thousands of dollars. And there's just a lot of overhead. When you're hiring somebody, you have to find someone, you have to trust them, you have to meet with them several times. Then when they're done their work, you have to check it out. Maybe there's a misunderstanding somewhere where they have to go back to the drawing board and redo certain things. So yeah, it's kind of a hassle. And I think that's where I want my platform to come in. It's fully automated and it's very quick. So you get your workflow done like within an hour. So you can check right away if it's what you had in mind. If it's not, you tell the AI, hey, no, you didn't understand, and you actually want it to be like this, and the AI will fix it, deploy it again. Again, it's like in a half an hour to an hour, it'll make the update. So you can have your working workflow pretty quickly in like an afternoon, and it's much cheaper because it's not a human doing the work. It's an AI agent, which costs much less. So instead of hundreds, it would cost like tens of like 20, 30, $40 per workflow. So yeah, it's just I think that's the future now. Just pretty much automate things, use AI as much as possible where AI really can help out.
You mentioned a lot of things. So let's first start with the automated the vibe coding websites that you mentioned, like the Lovables,
Yeah.
Replit, Base 44. The advantage of those websites or the strength that they have is that they're starting with a clean slate. So they don't really have to connect to anything. They can just start and they build a website from scratch. But when you're building a
Right.
workflow, by definition, you're taking things that exist and connecting them together. So that means you'll need to have access to certain data points. You need to have access to different tools or softwares that the company uses. Do you feel like there's a difficulty for people to integrate in their existing environments, or the integrations that you have suffice for people to create whatever workflows they want?
Yeah, so I have what's called an iPass. I have an integration provider handle that side of things for me. So it's basically a service that gives me access to 3,000 integrations.
Oh, wow.
So they have like all the most common APIs you can think of: Gmail, all the Google, Microsoft APIs, Slack, HubSpot, Notion, QuickBooks. There's thousands of them, and they give me like a very simple like a single sign-on button. When you log into websites and it
Mhm.
says sign in with Google, you just press on it, and then you have a pop-up that says approve your permissions, and then you press OK,
Yeah.
and then that's it. You're connected. So it's going to be like that. You're going to have like a connect button for all your integrations. You basically tell the chatbot, okay, I want to fetch my emails from Gmail, and then send a summary to my Slack channel, and then it'll give you the Google Connect button, and then you just press on that, and you approve your Google, and then it'll give you your Slack Connect, and you press on that, you approve your Slack, and there you go. You have your services connected. So it's all going to be very seamless and user friendly. Um, and yeah, I have a provider that handles that for me, so that I'm kind of delegating that to them. So they're secure, they're vetted, they're compliant, they handle all the credentials on my behalf. So uh, yeah, it's all handled very securely. And
Is it fair to say that you're automating workflow automation?
yeah, automating automation. Yes, that's a very good way to put it.
That's awesome. Anyways, Arno, thank you so much for doing this. I think workflows is critical nowadays. There's just too many tools, too much happening, and without workflows, we'd just be lost and spending time building connectors and doing things over and over again.
Yeah,
Anyways, I am
yeah,
very bullish on this industry. Again, thanks for doing this.
yeah. And just for your watchers, just if anybody's interested, you can visit my landing page. It's autoflows.dev. So that's autoflows with an S dot dev. And then you could book a demo when we can have a one-on-one Zoom conversation, and we can see what kind of use case you have in mind.
Awesome.